Hey Double O's, Blake over at Bond Life Chicago with another Double O fight breakdown. This is one you guys have been asking for quite some time. I've been a little hesitant to do it just because I don't know a ton about sword fighting. That's a pretty good hint for what's about to come. But it is Olympic season, and fencing is in the Olympics this year. So what better time to do the Die Another Day Bond versus Graves fencing / sword fighting fight breakdown than right now. So without further ado, let's get into it. Obviously, there's some fencing and some sword fighting in here. I don't know a ton about that, but I'm going to do the best I can to justify it. On top of that, there's a few just generalized strikes, but they work well within the fight, in my opinion at least. So they grab it. Initially, Bond goes to the Reform Club, and he's going to have a fencing match with Graves. They grab they get all set up. They get their fencing sabers, and they're on guard. As they go, Graves gets the first 2 points or hits rather. And of course, he's quite arrogant. He's quite cocky. He asks Bond if he wants to continue. Bond ups the wager with one of Gustav Graves' blood diamonds. From there, Bond gets the next hit. This time kind of nicking Graves in the wrist where there really isn't a lot of coverage. Pisses Graves off a little bit. And now, of course, because the wager's been upped, they're going to up the ante of the competition a little bit as well. Graves goes over to the wall and grabs 2 actual sabers off of the wall, which would be kind of like what initial traditional fencing started as anyways. The, very fancy artistic sword fighting with these smaller sabers, and they go from there. Now it's going to be winner is first to draw blood from the torso of obviously the loser, and they're parrying back and forth from there. They start this new fight. Graves kind of starts it with his back turned, and he swings at Bond, kind of trying to catch him off guard. As they're parrying back and forth, they're going, and again, I'm going to apologize. I'm not going to be able to. There's a lot going on, so I can't measure every attempted sword strike, but they're parrying back and forth. They kind of go back off to the side of the wall there, and as they're parrying, Graves is able to come down and strike, and he cuts Bond in like what looks like the calf area, just a little small nick to the leg. They continue fighting. Then Bond parries back, and he's able to nick Graves in the right ear, kind of nicks him off there. They continue going. They keep fighting from there, and Bond does a good job. He kind of actually flanks Graves off to the left a little bit, and he's able to throw a kick to like the back of Graves' leg, the back of Graves' knee, and actually knocks Graves down for a moment. Graves gets back up. They parry again. Now they kind of leave the room, and they go into the hallway. Graves is kind of running away from him slightly. As he does that, they're parrying. Bond is able to knock. He strikes this way. He's able to knock Graves' sword out of his hand, but Graves does that, so as he gets it knocked out of his hand this way, Graves comes right back with a backhanded punch to Bond's face. Thought that was a pretty good fluid strike to, a defensive, oh no, I don't have my sword anymore, I got to do something to defend myself. That strike also allows Graves to go run and pick his sword back up, and they get back into the fight. They're parrying back and forth. This one I don't really care for too much, but Bond kind of goes to try to tackle Graves, I guess, but it kind of causes him to do a little bit of a clinch. So as he's here kind of pushing on Graves, trying to tackle him, Graves is able to throw a downward elbow to Bond's back. That'd be it's not like a fight-ending blow, but that would be a pretty painful blow, especially depending on where you actually get it on that person, because elbows hurt quite a bit, and that's a lot of force coming down there. But he does that. As Bond sits up and kind of breaks that strike there, Graves is able to throw another punch. This one I thought was a pretty devastating one because he throws a right punch, but the way that those handles on those sabers are set is they actually be more or less punching somebody with like steel knuckles rather than even brass knuckles, because they have a hand guard there, and if you punch somebody the right way with that, you're actually punching them with the guard rather than actually just your fist. But that punch happens. They go back and forth. They're continuing to parry back and forth with the sabers. They get back into the other room now where they initially started. And this time, Graves actually grabs don't really give a good glimpse of what kind of sword this is, but from the sheath that it has, I want to say it's more of a katana, which is a very strong, very well-made sword. And this time, as Bond still has this smaller saber, Graves swings it sideways, and he actually just cuts the majority of that saber off, breaking it, while Bond still has it in his hand. And then he comes back and he tries to thrust with his sword, I believe a katana, towards Bond's torso area. Bond's able to dodge that, and it breaks through a display that they have there, which is kind of like a knight from like the medieval times era, and with armor in it. And that kind of knocks away the sword out of Graves' hand as well. But as Graves is here, he's able to kind of reach back and he elbows Bond as they're kind of fighting in that display case there. They both run around to the other side, and now they grab swords that were from the display case, which are like full-sized swords. You definitely need two hands to swing these types of swords versus the one that they were using before. And as they're parrying back and forth, and now they've gone outside of they're in like a courtyard area more or less, and Graves throws a right punch to Bond's face, kind of knocking him over the railing of the stairs. Bond comes back as Graves is coming around to meet him, and they're fighting, but Graves has the high ground. He's on the top of the stairs here, and Bond's trying to fight his way back up, and Graves kicks Bond in the face, knocking him back briefly. They're back to even playing field, and they're parrying back and forth with those swords. I guess I should go two hands now, like I said. They're going back and forth, and Bond is able to knock the sword away again, and then this time it actually appears that he really knocked both swords out of both their hands with the one swing. He punches Graves, which actually knocks Graves down the stairs, and as Graves falls back to where his sword was and tries to turn, Bond dives over from the top of the stairs over Graves to his own sword. And as Graves is getting up to try to meet him, Bond's able to turn around and swing his sword, cutting Graves in the torso, drawing blood, and knocking him down into the fountain there in the courtyard. And as they continue, because it doesn't look like either one has any intention to stopping at that point, Miranda Frost, of course, jumps in the middle, stops the fight, and the rest of the movie goes from there. Wow, that was a lot going on. I hope I caught everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, I apologize. I'm not super knowledgeable with sword fighting. Maybe that's something that I should get a little bit more into just for fun. But as always, if you're serious about martial arts, you're serious about self-defense, please find a local gym in your area and start training. It's a great way to stay safe, a great way to stay fit, and a great way to bring a little bit of Bond into your everyday life. For me, sorry everybody, go USA in these Olympics. Thought this was a perfect time to do this one just because fencing's in the Olympics for this year. And as always, hope you guys liked it. Reach out if you have any questions or ideas for the next one. See you soon.